Ladies and gentlemen,
your courage to the sticking place.
Anybody who's ever been to the Darkroom Theater has heard this question a million times every Sunday night. Why, oh why, bad movie night?
Oh. Well, because people like to feel themselves superior to art and to degrade it and to yell, holler, and hoop when it shows. When, in fact, an enlightened response is to allow it to try to do its job. The savage or uncivilized response is to resist art in the peasant-like feeling that one is too shrewd to have something like imagination or storytelling put over on them. Remember, as I say, it's easy to hurl questions, and in the same reason it's easy to denigrate that which one can only understand has an intrinsic excellence if one will take the difficult step of giving one's self to it. And in fact, this moves back to the sex question. Sometimes you have to kiss the frog first, and then the frog becomes a prince. Fortunately, some movies are frogs through and through, and not princes. And these have made themselves so obvious that it is perfectly alright, legitimate, fitting, and proper to hurl many epithets at them and to enjoy celebrating a bad movie as it attempts to go on as a good movie. It's just that when you advertise it as bad from the beginning, you really don't give yourself the opportunity to make that distinction. And my only other cavil about bad movie night, a fine institution which many people love and enjoy, is that they have not sampled the tremendous spectrum of bad movies which some of us know to be there. It's only the recent movies, so many times, that get the treatment, when there are movies so painfully awful and their failure of imagination that the heart leaps with joy at the opportunity to blow them the raspberry. But referring back to yet another question of the evening, practice makes perfect, and the more bad movie night goes on, the more these skills are honed, and the experience itself becomes one which celebrates life itself.
Excuse me, Dr. Hal.
Is the eye on your hat similar to or the same as the one from the $1 bill?
The answer to this question is yes. It is similar to the famous Oculus Dei, which is the eye on the top of the pyramid on the $1 bill. Why should it not be similar? It is an eye, and vertebrate eyes tend to be similar in structure. Even the mighty Architeuthis ducks, the mysterious giant squid of the depths of the ocean, has taken the trouble to evolve an eye similar to vertebrate eyes in construction, though not quite exactly like it. In fact, superior to it. Those squids can see things which we absolutely can't. But eyes being similar, I might also add that there is also a similarity of purpose in the eye on my hat. A purpose not perhaps intended by the manufacturer of the design, but then again perhaps it was, because the lightning bolts which you see coming from the eye indicate that this is no ordinary peeper, but rather one of a certain mystical significance. We might ask ourselves, what is the eye on top of the pyramid on the dollar bill? Well, it of course represents the eye of God in the tradition of the deists, not Christians, who founded the United States. It rests on top of a pyramid of bricks because this Masonic symbol indicates that you build the work, and at the very top or pinnacle of the work God sits. But you have to build it. You have to do the work. And if you construct God in this way, He will have been there all along, traveling through time from His moment of late creation by means of His immanency and ubiquity to a state outside of time which stretches all the way through it. The legend on the picture says Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means a new order of worlds. And the other motto, Annuit Coectus, means, literally translated, he, that is to say the God I mentioned, favors our beginnings, which through his mystical creation he can do, even though we create him by hard work and piling up all those bricks in the shape of a pyramid. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. And there's a shot here for you.
Now, if that's a Capurro, I'll eat my... Oh, yeah, it's not.
Right here.
Very well. Enjoy. Delicious.
Yeah! All right. Oh, you gotta turn it over.
Yeah, we do turn it over for good luck. Ours as much as yours.
Someone named Bod.
Bod?
Bod. B-O-D.
All right. Bod.
I'm reading this.
J.R. Bod.
I'm reading this verbatim.
All right, let's have it.
Okay. Why? Look at me. Bob. No, Bob. Why Bob dead?
Why Bob dead?
Why Bob dead?
Him shot. Yes, he was shot in 1984 on the, was it the 21st or the 21st? A day I'm sure we all remember where we were in the tragedy. J.R. Bob Dobbs, the avatar of Slack and the epoch of the Church of the Subgenius, was slain, laced in his golden blood, and so on. But you know what? It's a good career move, because if you have a religion, your God has to die and then come back. And your God has to be killed. It must have a martyrdom and a sacrifice. And so it is. We also have an apocalypse. We've got everything. The only thing we don't have is tax exemption. But you know, Bob was shot, and the person who shot him could be as close to you as you never suspect. Could be sitting right next to you. Could be in this audience. Because anybody could kill Bob. Bob was not like Apollo with his lyre and golden throne and Helios disc. Bob was just a schmuck who could be blasted away by a disgruntled subgenius. So there you are. A religion which reaches out to the ordinary in search of the extraordinary, instead of the other way around, like all the other religions. And so now you know why Bob dead. Him shot. But maybe he be back. Or maybe not. This now enters the realm of abstruse theological speculation. Okay, well, the poem is by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I don't know if a banjo goes with it, though.
All right, fuck the banjo.
You see, this poem was never finished by Mr. Coleridge. Although, it's interesting that much vampire lore existed at the time of the Romantics. In fact, the book Frankenstein, as you probably all know, was created one night when a bunch of them were sitting around trying to come up with a good ghost story. At the same night, Lord Byron's friend, Dr. Polidori, came up with Varney the Vampire, or The Feast of Blood. Not a very good story, but it shows that this sort of thing was circulating at the time. Accounts of vampires do not begin with Bram Stoker, but go back as far and as long as humanity has been telling stories, or viewed another way, has been experiencing problems with vampires. I recommend, for example, the hideous episode in Lucius Apuleius' The Golden Ass. This is a late Roman writer, but still that's farther back than Dracula. But one other thing about the poem Christabel, it was never finished. And I'm not going to give the whole thing, it's very long, but I'm going to give a rather long episode. And one of my own projects is to finish the poem. Why do I have the chutzpah to think that I can finish a poem that Coleridge began?
I don't know. Why do you have the chutzpah?
Well, I have one advantage that Coleridge didn't have. I've seen many Hammer vampire movies, and Coleridge never did. He didn't know how vampire stories end, but I do. However, This lengthy episode, in a way, merely sets the scene. But now that I have discoursed on its length, at length, I will diminish its length by starting, because the soonest way to the end is the start of the poem Christabel. 'Tis the middle of night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock. To whit, to woo, and hark again, the crowing cock, how drowsily it crew. Sir Leoline, the Baron, rich, hath a toothless mastiff bitch. From her kennel beneath the rock she maketh answer to the clock, 4 for the quarter, and 12 for the hour, ever and aye by shine and shower.